with the neighboring countries, describing it as the only way through which Nigerians' anti-smuggling laws could be enforced. He stated this in Kano while briefing the press in his palace on the sideline of recent appointments into the National Economic Advisory Council by President Muhammad Buhari. He blamed the country's observant land borders for high incidences of tax evasion, which according to him have been turned into escape routes from duties and tariffs, as well as viable channels for diversion of petroleum products from the country. The monarch emphasized that closing the borders remains the only option for the country to save its agricultural sector and develop its economy. The operatives of Nigerian Customs Service has allegedly assaulted Express Radio reporter Lamin Hassan in Kano. The incident took place at Gwammajar Quarters, Dala local government area of Kano State. Our correspondent learned that Lamin Hassan was officially assigned to investigate and report comprehensively on incessant complaints by the public concerning the alleged harassment by customs personnel recently. Speaking to newsmen, Lamin Hassan said on his arrival in the area, customs personnel raided a shop mall selling palm dates and Zamzam water, which they allegedly branded as contraband. While interviewing some people with regards to the incessant harassment, they came and started assaulting him. Reacting to the development, Nigerian Customs Service Kano Jigawa Command spokesman Isa Nambaba confirmed the situation to newsmen, noting that when he was informed of the situation, he placed a call to the radio station head of news, but was informed that he was attending management meeting. Sokoto State Commissioner for Water Resources Umar Baturi has said that the World Bank is to grant Sokoto State about $2.5 million for expansion in water supply. He also said that a target of 3 million gallons per day was designed, added that adequate arrangements were on to realize the goal. The current water system in Sokoto was done in 1988. The plan was to improve the expansion as the town was expanding. It was to cover up to 10, but unfortunately nothing happened. The prevailing situation, he said, posed a big challenge because with the expansion of the town, some places had been left without water pipelines. The commissioner also spoke on the challenges of water revenue and revealed that they had reviewed the water rates and embedded it into the water policy. He added that it will subsequently be taken to the State Assembly to provide a law for it. The 123 men from Jigawa State who were arrested on August 30 by the Lagos State Task Force have withdrawn the 1 billion fundamental rights enforcement suit they filed against the Lagos State government. The men were intercepted along Moshalabi Road, Agege, alongside 48 motorcycles in a truck, which was coming from Jigawa State. They sued the Lagos State government for 1 billion naira, alleging unlawful detention and violation of their fundamental rights. Also joined as respondents in the suit are the Lagos State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, as well as the chairman of the Lagos State Task Force, Yinka Egbeyemi. But counsel for the men, Abba Hikima, told newsmen that his clients and the government had reached a compromise and the 1 billion naira lawsuit had been withdrawn. In earlier interactions with newsmen, Hikima had disclosed that the Lagos State government had been in talks with Jigawa State, which was in turn putting pressure on him to withdraw the case. Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was reported to have spent over 1 billion naira to resolve the age-long crisis between Itele and Aye Yora communities in the Ota local government area of Ogun State. Obasanjo's younger brother, Chief Abraham Akanle, said this at a peace meeting held at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library in Abeokuta. In a statement by the former president's media aide, Kehinde Akinyemi, the two communities have been at war for years with attendant loss of lives and property. Akanle, who represented Obasanjo at the meeting, claimed that his brother had expended over 1 billion naira to ensure peace in the communities. Akanle received 6 newly installed village heads from the communities at the peace meeting. On politics, following the failure of former Vice President and PDP flag bearer in the 2019 presidential election, Atiku Abubakar, to win at the election tribunal, A chieftain of the All Progressives Congress APC, Garus Gololo, has advised him to prepare for 2023 and forget about going to Supreme Court. In a chat with journalists in Abuja, Gololo said PDP and Atiku failed to defend their case, and that is why they lost at the tribunal. He said the only advice he has for Atiku is for him to contest again in 2023 while APC is preparing for him. On the issue of $9 billion contract which the court said Nigeria should pay, the APC chieftain stated that nobody should expect Nigeria to pay such money, adding that he would rather use the money for the poor masses and the development of the country. He commended President Muhammadu Buhari for taking prompt measure on the recent South African attack on Nigerians. The House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the circumstances that led to the 9.6 billion naira judgment recently secured by Process and Industrial Development Limited in a United Kingdom court against Nigeria. The House also resolved to invite the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timper Silva, for interrogation. This was sequel to the adoption of a motion by Honorable Julius Ihobere at a plenary entitled Motion for the Urgent Need to Investigate the Act of Negligence in the Handling of Process and Industrial Development Limited transactions by the Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Petroleum Resources, respectively. He urged the House to set up an ad hoc committee to, as a matter of urgency, invite the ministers of both ministries as well as other officials of the ministries saddled with the responsibility to negotiate the agreement with P&ID. The 17-man panel set up by Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila was mandated to recommend appropriate sanctions where necessary, without fear or favor or preference for status, in line with Order 14 of the Standing Orders of the House. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has said the lower chamber of the National Assembly will ensure that Nigerians get adequate supply for the electricity they pay for. Gbajabiamila said the House would give adequate attention to the practice of estimated billing for electricity distribution companies to address the challenges Nigerians face. He said the House would not tolerate a situation where electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, take advantage of Nigerians by issuing outrageous bills to them. Stressing that the lawmakers had resolved to revisit a proposed law against it. Speaking when he received the management team of the Transmission Company of Nigeria at his office in Abuja, the Speaker stated that it was the responsibility of the House to make life easy for the Nigerians. While commending the current management of the TCN led by its Managing Director Usman Muhammad, the Speaker tasked them to work closely with the leadership of the House and relevant committees to achieve its goals. Earlier in the presentation, Muhammad said TCN had been repositioned since the current management under him took over. The Senate has dismissed public condemnation of its planned purchase of sport utility vehicles, SUV, pegged at 5.5 billion naira for lawmakers. Leaders of the Senate, Abdullahi Yahya, made the remarks when he addressed newsmen in Abuja. He said the status of a senator was not undeserving of a SUG. There are 109 senators. All the senators would be entitled to one SUV, the cost of which the leader said would be paid back at the end of their legislative assignment in 2023. There are no records that similar vehicles purchased for senators in 2015 at 36 million naira each were deducted from their salaries. According to Yahya, the burden on the shoulders of the senators was not a main task, and an SUV for their work was not too much. The second batch of 315 Nigerians being evacuated from South Africa has returned to Nigeria. They landed around 7:22 p.m. at the cargo wing of the Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, on Wednesday. The evacuation, which should have taken place on Tuesday, was stalled due to the delayed issuance of landing permit to the Air Peace aircraft by the South African Authority. About 320 people were expected, but a few passengers were said to have been dropped over documentation issues. The Nigerians had departed the OR Tambo International Airport, Johannesburg, for the Murtala Muhammad International Airport around 1 p.m. The Consul General Nigerian High Commission in South Africa, Godwin Adama, had said the number of Nigerians willing to leave had risen to 1,004. The chairman Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, said the returnees would be profiled according to their state of origin, and their governors would complement the federal government's effort towards integrating them into the society. The governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who sent delegates to receive the returnees, gave each of them 20,000 naira. The Nigerian Governors Forum has pledged to partner with the Transmission Company of Nigeria to improve power supply across the country. The chairman of the forum and governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, announced this while reading the communique of the forum meeting held in Abuja. Fayemi said that the governors received a presentation by the TCN at the meeting which highlighted issues around inadequate transmission and sought governors' commitment to improving power in the country. Speaking on the federal government's resolution to recover 614 billion naira loan facility from 36 states of the federation, Fayemi said that they were ready to pay, but there should be a reconciliation account. Earlier, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed had said that the federal government had resolved to recover 614 billion naira loan facility from 35 states of the federation. The minister revealed this when she briefed State House correspondents on the meeting of the National Economic Council presided over by Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo at the State House, Abuja. Mrs. Ahmad said that each of the affected 35 states received 17.5 billion naira as bailout from the federal government. This news is reaching you live from Guarantee Radio here in Nasarawa GRA Kano. We are live on guaranteeradio.com. To deliberate on the news, follow our social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter, or download our app on Google Play Store. Welcome back. President Muhammad Buhari has approved the appointment of Dr. Folashade Yemi Esan as the acting head of the Civil Service of the Federation with immediate effect. The decision has therefore put an end to the career of the current occupant of the seat, Winifred Oyo-Ita, who had been in the eye of the storm over alleged 3 billion naira bribery and falsification of duty tour allowances. The president's decision was conveyed in a statement by the Director of Information in the Office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Mr. Willie Bassi. The statement said Oyo-Ita had been directed to proceed on an indefinite leave to allow conclusion of the investigation being carried out by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The president also directed the OHCSF to commence the process for the selection of new permanent secretaries. Labour, under the aegis of the trade union side TUS of the Joint National Public Service Negotiation Council, has said that strike remained the only option to get government to implement the 30,000 naira minimum wage signed by President Muhammad Buhari. The workers, after a breakdown of negotiation on the consequential adjustment of the new wage with government on Monday, said they will give no further notice to the federal government before millions of its members at the federal and 36 state public services begin strike over the new national minimum wage. The trade union side of the Joint Public Service Negotiation Council, in a statement signed by the acting chairman, Comrade Akeva Simon, and the secretary, Comrade Alade Lawal Bashir, urged the public to hold the government liable for strike, since they are frustrating the implementation of the new minimum wage. It's called on diligent eminent citizens, royal fathers, religious leaders and civil society groups to plead with the federal government to implement the new national minimum wage with adequate consequential adjustment to avoid the looming industrial crisis. Applicants for the Nigerian International e-Passport in Kano State have revealed that the ability of Kano Passport Office to complete all bureaucratic requirements and issue applicants with passport has been one of the commendable developments achieved in recent time. Speaking to newsmen, an applicant Al-Mustafa Shehu Kamis revealed that he thought he will spend nothing less than a month before he gets the passport he applied for in the online platform of the Nigerian Immigration Service, NIS, adding that, to his surprise, he got his passport the same day he entered Kano Passport Office. He added that when he was issued with the passport the same day, he fulfilled all the requirements after his online registration and subsequent payment. It was also gathered that supply of the booklet from the head office of NIS has been constant, and that has complemented the achievement recorded in ease doing business. On sport, Taraba State will host the first ever Under-17 Northeast Zonal Female Volleyball Championship from 26 to 27 September 2019. The Northeast Zonal Office of the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport, in partnering with the President of the Nigerian Volleyball Federation, Engineer Musa Nimrod, to identify hidden talents in the northeastern part of the country. Sponsor of the championship, Engineer Musa Nimrod, commended the Federal Ministry of Sport for the initiative of organizing the Under-17 female tournament. Nimrod said the program will be a nursery to discover and cultivate raw volleyball talents in Nigeria. Over to you, Hawa Ibrahim Khalil, for entertainment, business and history reports.
On business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has announced that it will begin to charge bank customers making cash deposit and withdrawals from September 19, 2019. In a circular made available to the public, the Apex Bank disclosed that the new policy of the transaction fees was designed to reduce cash in use. The charges, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria, will attract 3% processing fees for withdrawals and 2% processing fees for lodgements of amount above 500,000 for individual accounts. CBN also made known that for corporate bank, the Deposit Money Bank will charge 5% processing fees for withdrawals and 3% processing fee for lodgement of account above 3 million. For now, these charges are only applicable to bank customers in Lagos, Ogun, Kano, Abia, Anambra, Rivers, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. However, by March 31st, 2020, the CBN's implementation of the cashless policy will take effect nationwide. For today in history, on September 1995, a menopause by the bomber on anti-technology tourists was published by the New York Times and Washington Post in the hope that someone will recognize the person who for 17 years had been sending homemade bombers through the mail that had killed several people. Also in 1955, after a decade of rule, Argentina President John Namigo was deposed in a military coup. Similarly, in 1893, with the signing of the electoral bills by Governor Lord Glasgow, New Zealand became the first country in the world to grant national voting rights to women. Also in the year 1941, as part of their offensive campaign in the Soviet Union, gunmen blast through Leningrad at anti-craft defense and killed more than 1,000 Russians. Finally, on September 1985, a powerful earthquake strikes Mexico City and leaves 10,000 people died, 30,000 injured, and thousands more homeless. On entertainment, after living and crowning for years in Las Vegas, French-Canadian superstar Celine Dion returned home to Quebec to kick off her first world tour in a long time. At 51, the German winner also recently announced that the release of a new album titled Courage, which will be her 12th in English and is due out on November 5th. The first single, Flying on My Own, featuring her powerful vocals blanketed by techno beats, has already hit the airwaves, while 3 more dropping Courage, Laying Down, and Perfections. Knowing for her blog bells, Dion said in April that she felt motivated to create new music and hit the road after the 2016 death of her husband. So after more than 1,000 1,140 concert for 4.5 billion francs over 16 years in Sun City. She bid a door to the council at the Las Vegas.
Thank you, Hawa Ibrahim Khalil. And now the foreign scene. Officials say thousands of schools are closed across Malaysia and Indonesia, affecting at least 1.7 million pupils as toxic fog from uncontrolled forest fire sent air quality sinking. Nearly 2,500 schools were ordered to shut their doors in Malaysia, including nearly 300 in the smoke-hit capital Kuala Lumpur, over elevated health concerns sparked by toxic fog from out-of-controlled blazes in Indonesia's Sumatra and Borneo Islands. Indonesia said hundreds of schools in hard-hit Riau province on Sumatra would also be shut today, with 800 closed in one district alone, while about 1,300 were shut in its central Kalimantan province on Borneo. The closure affected at least 1.7 million students in Malaysia. It was not clear how many people were forced to stay home in neighboring Indonesia. Still on the foreign scene, Al Jazeera journalist Mahmoud Hussein has now been detained without any formal charges in Egypt for 1,000 days. Hussein, an Egyptian national who works for the Al Jazeera Arabic television channel in Qatar, was arrested on arrival in Egypt on December 20, 2016, while on a personal visit to see his family. His incarceration is already in breach of Egypt's penal code, which set a maximum pretrial detention period of 620 days for individuals being investigated for a felony. Hussein was accused of incitement against state institutions and broadcasting false news with the aim of spreading chaos, allegations he and the Al Jazeera media network denied. In May, an Egyptian court rejected an order by the state prosecutor to release him from prison. In February, the United Nations called on Egypt to end Hussein's arbitrary detention, saying the appropriate remedy would be to release Mr. Hussein immediately. Since the 2013 overthrow of Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi, a senior member of the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera Media Network, has been portrayed as Egypt's national enemy for its coverage of the globe. And with this, we have come to the end of the news. Before we go, a reminder of the major stories. Emir of Kano has expressed satisfaction over the decision of the federal government to close land borders. Presidency approves the appointment of Dr. Yemi Ehsan as the acting head of civil service of the Federation. And thousands of schools are closed across Malaysia and Indonesia. On behalf of the news production crew and the duty editor Musa Tijani Ahmed, the DCA has been Kamal Umar Kurna and Umma Musa Tudamartala, and my co-caster
Hawa Ibrahim Khalil.
I am Shafa'atu Said Kara. Thanking you for listening and good afternoon.